You know, life has a way of testing us in the most unexpected ways. People will misunderstand you. Situations will frustrate you. And sometimes, no matter how hard you try, things just won't go your way. But here's the truth. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every storm requires you to lose your peace. There comes a point where you must learn the art of acting as if nothing bothers you. Not because you don't care, but because you've grown, you've realized that your energy is too precious to be wasted on things that don't define you. In 2025, if there's one powerful life lesson you need to master, it's this. The strength of calm, the ability to walk through chaos and still keep your spirit unshaken. Because when you learn to act as if nothing bothers you, you're not pretending, you're protecting your peace. Emotional control is the ultimate form of strength, because it determines how much power you give to the world around you. Every day, we encounter challenges, people, and situations that test our patience, our confidence, and our inner peace. Sometimes it's a harsh word from someone close, a disappointing result, or a betrayal you never saw coming. And in those moments, it's easy to react, to defend yourself, to lash out, or to let anger take over. But true power lies in your ability to pause, to breathe, and to choose calmness when everything inside you wants to explode. Emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about mastering them. It's about understanding that not every emotion deserves to be expressed, and not every situation deserves your energy. When you learn to control your emotions, you start to live life from a position of power, not reaction. You begin to notice that peace of mind is worth more than being right, and your inner stability becomes your greatest weapon. Because the truth is, people who can control their emotions control the situation. They disarm others, not with words, but with their calmness. They move through life with quiet confidence, unaffected by the noise that surrounds them. This is the kind of strength that cannot be faked, because it comes from deep self-awareness and discipline. Many people mistake emotional control for weakness. They believe that being calm means being passive, that silence means surrender. But that's far from true. It takes far more courage to stay composed in chaos than to shout in anger. Anyone can react, few can restrain themselves, anyone can argue. Few can stay silent and let their composure speak for them. Emotional control is not about pretending you don't care. It's about showing that you refuse to let external forces dictate your internal peace. When you reach this level of control, you stop being easily manipulated. You stop giving people the satisfaction of seeing you lose balance. You stop being emotionally predictable. And that is one of the most powerful transformations a person can experience. There's something incredibly strong about someone who doesn't allow their emotions to rule them. They move differently. They think clearly when others panic. They listen more than they speak. Their presence demands respect, not because they shout the loudest, but because they carry an energy of peace that others crave. This kind of control builds emotional intelligence, the ability to understand not only your own feelings, but also those of others. It allows you to navigate relationships with more empathy and wisdom, to make decisions without being clouded by temporary emotions, and to handle conflicts without losing your center. The world today thrives on reaction. Social media rewards outrage, arguments, and emotional explosions. Everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to respond, but very few people take the time to pause and reflect. Very few know the power of restraint. Emotional control separates you from the noise. It teaches you that not every message needs a reply, not every insult needs a defense, and not every situation deserves a reaction. You begin to realize that peace is a choice, and maintaining it is a skill that only the strong can master. When you start practicing emotional control, you also start building a deeper connection with yourself. You become more aware of what triggers you, what drains you, and what truly matters. You learn to pick your battles wisely, to conserve your energy for what's truly important, and to let go of things that once consumed you. It's a process that requires patience, but the reward is freedom. Freedom from overthinking, from unnecessary conflicts, from being emotionally dependent on other people's behavior. Emotional control doesn't mean you stop feeling, it means you start responding with purpose. It means you can experience pain without losing direction, disappointment without bitterness, and anger without destruction. It's a sign of emotional maturity, the understanding that your emotions are valid, but they do not have to control your life. The strongest people are not those who never feel anger or sadness. They are the ones who can feel it fully and still choose peace. Because power is not in the reaction, it's in the restraint. Protecting your peace is more powerful than proving your point because peace is the foundation of clarity, stability, and true strength. When you prioritize inner peace, you no longer feel the need to engage in every argument or defend yourself against every misunderstanding. You begin to understand that not everything deserves your attention, and not everyone deserves a response. The more you value your peace, the less interest you have in convincing others to see things your way. You start to realize that peace is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to remain calm in the middle of them. It is knowing that your energy is precious, and not everyone should have access to it. There will always be people who misunderstand your intentions, twist your words, or question your motives. You cannot control how they see you, but you can control how much power you give their opinions. The need to constantly prove yourself to others comes from insecurity, from a desire to be seen, accepted, or validated. But once you discover the strength that comes with peace, validation becomes unnecessary. You stop chasing approval and start choosing peace instead. You stop trying to change every mind because you understand that no explanation can convince someone who is determined not to understand you. Protecting your peace means choosing silence over unnecessary battles, calm over chaos, and self-respect over the need to be right. There is a quiet power in walking away from situations that threaten your peace. It takes courage to say nothing when you could say everything. It takes strength to hold your tongue when you know you're right. But that restraint is not weakness, it's wisdom. You're not losing the argument, you're simply choosing yourself. Every time you resist the urge to prove a point, you're protecting your emotional energy. Every time you let go of the need to be understood, you're freeing yourself from the control of others' opinions. Peace allows you to see beyond the moment, beyond your emotions, and beyond the ego's need to win. The truth is, most arguments are never really about finding understanding. They're about winning. People argue not to listen, but to respond. And in that noise, peace is lost. Protecting your peace requires you to recognize when it's no longer worth engaging. You begin to see that peace is the real victory. Not being right, not having the last word, but walking away knowing that your mind and heart remain unshaken. That kind of control is power. It gives you freedom from the emotional roller coaster that comes with trying to please everyone or trying to prove something to people who may never appreciate your perspective. When you value your peace, you stop taking everything personally. You understand that not every criticism deserves your attention, not every conflict deserves your involvement, and not every misunderstanding deserves to be corrected. You start to see how much of your energy was once wasted on things that don't truly matter. You learn to stay still, to respond with grace, and to let time reveal what words cannot. You realize that the best response is often no response. And the best proof of your worth is how unbothered you remain. Protecting your peace turns your focus inward. It reminds you that your calm is your responsibility, and your silence is a form of strength. People may call you distant or cold when you choose peace, but in reality, you're protecting your soul from unnecessary chaos. You're choosing growth over drama, clarity over confusion, and strength over reaction. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing negativity to control your emotions. It means you've grown enough to know that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. It's about understanding that peace is not found in proving you're right, but in knowing you don't have to. As you protect your peace, you also start to notice how life becomes lighter. You find yourself less anxious, less reactive, and more focused on what truly brings you happiness. You begin to attract calmness, not chaos. You start surrounding yourself with people who match your energy, those who value peace over pride and understanding over ego. The moment you realize that your peace is worth more than being right, your entire perspective shifts. You learn that no victory is greater than the peace of a calm mind. The real power lies in walking away with your spirit intact, your dignity preserved, and your heart still at ease. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, it means maturity. It means you've reached a level of emotional intelligence where you no longer allow external things to control your inner world. You still care, you still love, and you still feel deeply, but you've learned not to cling. You've learned that people change, situations shift, and not everything is meant to last forever. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It allows you to experience life fully without being consumed by it. It's understanding that peace comes not from holding on tightly, but from trusting that whatever is meant for you will remain without force. Most people confuse detachment with not caring, but true detachment is quite the opposite. It's caring with balance. It's giving your best without losing yourself in the process. It's being there for others while still protecting your emotional boundaries. Detachment teaches you that love doesn't have to be possessive, that success doesn't have to be stressful, and that failure doesn't have to define you. It's knowing that you can be deeply involved in something and still stay centered within yourself. When you're detached, you stop depending on outcomes to determine your happiness. You learn to do your part and let life unfold naturally. In a world that constantly tells you to chase, hold, and control, detachment is a quiet rebellion. It's the ability to stand firm while everything around you changes. When you're attached to results, to people, or to situations, your peace becomes fragile because it depends on something outside your control. But when you practice detachment, you build emotional stability. You stop panicking when things don't go your way. You stop begging for validation. You stop expecting people to act a certain way just to make you happy. You accept life as it comes and you handle it with grace. That's maturity. The ability to stay calm even when life doesn't meet your expectations. Detachment doesn't mean you don't have goals or emotions. It simply means you've mastered the art of balance. You give your all to your dreams, but understand that not everything will happen on your timeline. You love people wholeheartedly, but accept that some will leave. You face difficulties, but don't let them break your spirit. Detachment gives you freedom, the freedom to live without fear, to give without expecting, and to let go without bitterness. It allows you to keep your heart open and your mind clear. It reminds you that nothing and no one outside of you should have the power to control your peace. When you're attached, your emotions rise and fall based on circumstances. A single disappointment can ruin your day, and a single compliment can make you feel invincible. But detachment teaches you emotional steadiness. It helps you find joy in the present moment instead of constantly worrying about what could happen next. It reminds you that you can appreciate beauty without needing to possess it, that you can enjoy success without being defined by it, and that you can love people without losing yourself in them. This mindset creates resilience because your happiness no longer depends on what happens outside of you. Practicing detachment also transforms how you handle relationships. You stop chasing people who are not meant for you. You stop forcing connections that drain you. You understand that real love flows freely. It doesn't demand control, it doesn't cling, and it doesn't fear loss. Detachment helps you let others be who they are without trying to change them. You respect their journey while staying true to yours. And when you do have to let go, you do it with peace, not pain. That is the essence of emotional maturity. To love deeply but not desperately, to care genuinely but not obsessively, and to give freely without expecting something in return. Detachment also helps you handle success and failure with grace. You stop over-celebrating wins and stop overthinking losses. You realize that both are part of life's natural rhythm. You understand that you can't always control what happens, but you can control how you respond. Detachment allows you to stay humble when you win and hopeful when you lose. It keeps you grounded in every situation, reminding you that your worth doesn't come from achievements or possessions, but from who you are at your core. The beauty of detachment lies in its simplicity. It's not about withdrawing from the world, but engaging with it from a place of inner calm. It's choosing peace over obsession, acceptance over resistance, and faith over fear. When you're detached, you become untouchable in the best way. Not because nothing affects you, but because nothing controls you. You move with confidence, you think with clarity, and you love with freedom. Detachment is the quiet strength that lets you live fully while remaining unshaken by the temporary waves of life. Your silence speaks louder than your reaction because silence carries a power that words often fail to express. In a world where everyone is quick to respond, quick to defend, and quick to be heard, silence becomes a rare strength. It's the language of self-control, wisdom, and confidence. When you choose silence over reaction, you're not showing weakness. You're showing that you understand. Not every situation deserves your energy. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to say nothing at all. Silence allows truth to reveal itself, emotions to settle, and perspective to return. It shows that you are in control of yourself, not at the mercy of your emotions or the actions of others. There are moments when reacting only feeds chaos. When people provoke you, argue with you, or misunderstand you, reacting emotionally often gives them more power. But when you remain silent, you take that power back. Silence disarms people because they expect noise, they expect you to respond, to defend, or to lose control. But when you don't, it unsettles them. It shows maturity because you've learned that peace is more important than being right. Your silence becomes a shield, protecting you from unnecessary conflict and emotional exhaustion. It's the calm response that speaks volumes about your character. Silence is also a sign of self-assurance. When you know who you are, you no longer feel the need to prove it with words. You understand that truth doesn't require explanation and integrity doesn't need validation. The person who stays silent in the face of criticism is not weak. They are simply unbothered. They know that time will reveal what words cannot. They understand that dignity doesn't come from shouting louder. It comes from staying composed when others lose control. Silence in that moment becomes your power, your wisdom, and your peace all in one. Sometimes silence is the most effective response to negativity. When you refuse to react, you're teaching people that their words or actions cannot control your emotions. You're setting a boundary. Without even speaking, you're showing them that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on arguments that lead nowhere. You don't have to respond to every insult, justify every choice, or explain every decision. When you choose silence, you're sending a clear message that your peace is not up for negotiation. You've outgrown the need to be understood by everyone, and that kind of calm confidence is something few people possess. Silence also allows you to observe. When you stop talking and start listening, you begin to understand more. You see people for who they really are, not just what they say, but how they act. Silence gives you the space to process your emotions before they turn into reactions you might regret. It creates room for clarity, for understanding, and for emotional growth. Many people make mistakes in moments of anger or frustration because they speak too soon. But silence gives you time to think, to regain your composure, and to choose wisdom over impulse. Your silence can also be a lesson to others. It shows that you refuse to engage in negativity, that you value peace over pride, and that you don't need to win every battle to feel strong. It sets an example that maturity isn't about how loud you can speak, but how well you can control yourself. In a heated situation, silence is not avoidance. It's strategy. It's choosing to protect your energy rather than waste it on proving something meaningless. When you practice this, you begin to attract peace naturally because you stop feeding what drains you. There's also beauty in the kind of silence that follows understanding. When you finally realize that some things don't need to be explained, some people don't need to be convinced, and some battles don't need to be fought, you find peace in stillness. You learn to be comfortable in quiet moments, to let silence speak for your confidence. You begin to understand that silence doesn't mean defeat, it means elevation. You've risen above the noise that once demanded your reaction. In relationships, silence can be more healing than words. Sometimes it's better to stay silent than to argue in frustration. It's better to take a step back and allow emotions to settle before trying to resolve anything. Silence gives space for reflection, for empathy, and for peace to return. It prevents words that can't be taken back and emotions that can't be undone. It teaches patience, the kind that builds strength and understanding. Your silence is a reflection of your growth. It means you've learned that your peace matters more than your pride, that your energy is sacred, and that wisdom often speaks in whispers. When you no longer feel the urge to react to everything, you become unstoppable. Because silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you choose not to say it, and that choice comes from strength, not fear. Master calmness. It's your greatest advantage in a chaotic world. Calmness is a superpower that allows you to think clearly, act wisely, and stay grounded when everything around you feels unstable. It's not something that comes naturally to everyone. It's built through self-awareness, patience, and discipline. In a world that constantly demands reactions, calmness becomes your quiet rebellion. It's the ability to pause before responding, to breathe before deciding, and to stay composed even when life tries to shake you. Calmness is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. It shows that you've learned to control your environment from within, no matter what storms you face on the outside. People often mistake calmness for a lack of passion or energy, but in truth, calmness is focused strength. It's the kind of power that doesn't need to shout to be heard or fight to be seen. A calm mind can see solutions that an anxious mind overlooks. When you remain calm, you make better choices, speak with intention, and handle challenges with grace. You become unshakable, not because life is easy, but because you've built the emotional resilience to stay steady through its ups and downs. The person who can stay calm in chaos holds an advantage over everyone who loses control. Calmness gives you clarity. When your mind is restless, it's clouded by noise, fear, frustration, and overthinking. But when you choose calmness, your thoughts slow down and you begin to see things as they truly are, not as your emotions paint them to be. You stop reacting to every small problem and start responding with purpose. Calmness allows you to detach from the chaos and observe it from a higher perspective. It's the mindset that helps you stay strategic in moments when others are overwhelmed. This mental clarity is what separates the wise from the impulsive, the strong from the reactive. In conflicts, calmness becomes your strength. The one who remains calm always has control of the situation because emotions can be contagious. When you stay calm, you influence the energy of the room. You lower the tension without even speaking. You gain respect because calmness commands attention. It shows that you are not controlled by anger or fear, that you can rise above emotions and think logically even under pressure. The calm person doesn't rush to respond or defend. They wait, they watch, and they act when it truly matters. That patience is what gives them power. Calmness also protects your health and energy. Constant stress and emotional turmoil drain your mind and body. But when you learn to stay calm, you conserve energy. You stop allowing external chaos to affect your internal peace. You start to notice how much lighter you feel when you don't react to every negative situation. Calmness teaches you to choose your battles, to let go of what you can't control, and to focus on what you can change. It reminds you that peace is not something you find. It's something you create from within. Mastering calmness also transforms how you handle time and priorities. When you are calm, you think more clearly about what truly matters. You stop rushing, you stop comparing, and you start focusing. You begin to understand that every moment of panic is a moment lost, but every moment of calm brings clarity. Calmness teaches you patience, the understanding that everything unfolds when it's meant to. You stop chasing outcomes and start trusting the process. That mindset keeps you grounded, even when things don't go as planned. In relationships, calmness becomes a healing force. It allows you to listen before reacting, to understand before judging, and to respond with empathy instead of anger. When you are calm, you communicate better because you speak from a place of understanding rather than emotion. Calmness helps you diffuse arguments, strengthen trust, and bring balance to the people around you. It's the emotional stability that keeps connections healthy and meaningful. Calmness also builds confidence. When you're calm, you stop letting fear control you. You know that no matter what happens, you can handle it. You trust yourself enough to stay composed in uncertainty. That kind of self-trust radiates strength. Others feel it, and it earns you quiet respect. The calm person doesn't panic when things fall apart. They adapt. They don't rush into decisions. They calculate. They don't get lost in noise. They listen. Calmness is the discipline that turns ordinary people into leaders, because leadership begins with emotional stability. In a chaotic world that thrives on speed, comparison, and noise, calmness sets you apart. It keeps you grounded when others are scattered, focused when others are distracted, and peaceful when others are restless. It becomes your silent advantage, the shield that protects your peace, the anchor that keeps you steady, and the light that guides you through confusion. Calmness is not something you're born with. It's something you practice every day in your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. Because when you master calmness, you master yourself.